We brought numbers this year.
Oh,
Bill, how are you?
I'm good, how are you doing? At least it's cool in here.
What's that?
At least it's cool in here.
Yeah, we only have a half air conditioner.
Well, ours is on its last leg.
Company that put these in went out of business. Now they're broke down and they don't want to fix them.
Well, good morning, gentlemen. I am basically just here. I'm still the president of Cheyenne Community Development Corporation. We're here for our normal budget run to inform you of what we've been doing to give you our numbers. And I'm here introducing our new director right here, Chris Olson. She just started, 2 weeks?
2 weeks ago.
Yep. And Helen, who you know that she has retired and is leaving, so we have the outgoing and the incoming, and I'm just here.
Can
So-
I look at your feet?
My feet? Why? To see how big they are.
You got big shoes.
I do. Yes, I am aware.
Well, glad to have you.
Thank you.
And I think she's going to be real good. And she brings a whole new, different, we talk about it with everybody. We say, oh, it's going to be tough to replace Helen. Well, instead of replacing, we have found somebody with a vibrancy and a new idea run and a great skill set. Can we replace what we've had? I'm not sure. I don't think so. But that doesn't mean we don't move forward with the advantages that we have now. So that's my spiel. So there you go. But thank you for the time, gentlemen, always.
Well, we prepared a booklet again. We did finally come up after 3 years of a new mission statement. So that's the second page in there. And it's to support business and tourism for the economic prosperity of Cheyenne County, which is what we do. So did that. And basically, like we said, Chris started June 1st. And Carrie is the president. David Butler is our vice president. He also represents the city of St. Francis. Fernando is the manager of the St. Francis Supers. Dave Morrow is principal of St. Francis Junior Senior High. And Jason Padgett is kind of an entrepreneur. He does that on My Local Life online newspaper and is also on the board for the Farmers Market. And Ty Falkender is the branch manager of Bank West. Bud Erskine owns Majestic Service and Truck Stop. And Willie Martinez has been on there as the county commissioner representative. We do not have a representative from Bird City. And Mia Morrow is our part-time intern through Next Generation Roundup for Youth. And we also have 2 board positions, which we'll try and fill this fall. One student from each one of the school districts who had full voting rights on the board. We do meet once a month. Right now it's at 9 o'clock on the second Friday, and you're welcome to attend our meetings or have any questions, please call the office. We promote, obviously, economic development. We have business classes from time to time, usually through the Kansas Small Business Development Center, which this region is housed in Hayes, but they do have a representative that lives in Colby. So we usually have anywhere from 6 to 12 people attend those classes. And a lot of them are mostly startup businesses. And then SCORE is a group out of Wichita, and it's mostly retired people who mentor those that are going into some business. We also deal with small business administration, which there is a local Kansas group, but it's out of Washington, D.C. And we do have notebooks available for those starting a business, which are like this, and it's just where they can go through and write down, their plans, what they want to do, and then, there's some financial things in here, and we ask them to fill this out to start their business plan, and then they can go online with the Kansas Small Business Development Center, and there's a more detailed plan there, because if they need financing, they need a business plan. We've also made copies for people, and so they, when want tax returns and things like that, so that service is also available. If we are aware of any programs that are coming up, we try to call specific businesses and let them know that that opportunity is available. SCORE has had a lot of things on Friday nights or Saturday this last year, and so people have the opportunity to watch those should they want to do that. And we encourage people to give us their business cards and brochures, and so we can distribute those. And we have a business listing that is updated on an annual basis, usually by the intern. And one of the questions on there is, do you want basically your business promoted on our website? And there are probably maybe a dozen businesses that don't want it to be promoted. So we don't promote them so that you won't ever see them anywhere on our website or anything. But if somebody calls the office and they need that service, then we let them know who that business is, but we don't go actively promote it. We do assistance, letting people know where they can get financing. Currently, the city of St. Francis has incentives for businesses for utilities, and then the county has a neighborhood revitalization tax rebate, which we let people know about that. And thank you for renewing that last year for another 3 years. I think it's a wonderful program. During the annual Business Appreciation Month, the Kansas Department of Commerce asked for input from the communities about who should be nominated. And this year we nominated Janet Carmen and Christina Zimmerman as Moving Back Award, because they're people who grew up in the community, were here and left and came back. And they both received an award from the Kansas Department of Commerce. Christina actually received a regional award for that, so was in competition with the other regions. We do act as a tourism entity. We don't have a chamber or a CVB or anything, so we distribute brochures throughout the community. We still maintain the level 3 state kiosk up at the rest area in St. Francis. We're required to have all the state publications up there, so that's why you see those in the top row. And then we try to do local brochures that we have, and then go to Northwest Kansas region, and then sporadically we fill them with whoever gives us from the state. But we don't have any other large magazine type brochures up there from anybody except for the state. We have to report on a monthly basis to the state about the number that go out, and an average of probably 400 a month. Some months, we've had a couple months that have been low, but we've had some that have been 500. So, but it averages about 400, which is a lot for this area. But we're catching people that are going west, and they're coming in from Colorado and Nebraska. So I think it's a really good location. And then the byway, we are still working on that. This last year, we put the life cycle of the crop signs up. And sometime this month, we're supposed to get a cover delivered for the signage at Road B. And Rod Klepper's going to store it over in his garage or shop in Bird City, which saved us $40 on the $20,000 bill. And then when school starts, the carpentry department from Northwest Tech is going to install that. We are trying to also get permission to do something similar what's that location to the entrance to Mount Sunflower in Wallace County and Smoky Gardens in Sherman County, but we have changes at the state with KDOT and the byways, so that's a work in progress, but we're hoping to raise funds for that, and we certainly appreciate the funding that you've given us for that. We are a 501c3, so I think when we go out and get permission from the state to put signage in those, that we'll be talking to the ag businesses to see if they would like to participate in that program. Because like I said, we've got most of the signage for that, but the covers are like $20,000. Well, they were. but I don't know what the cost is going to be, but I just think it brings more attention to it so more people will stop. But we partnered with Kansas Agriculture in the Classroom on that for their artwork, and it's been well received and people have really appreciated it. Something that's not in here is we do have Russell coming out from the Department of Ag soon which is the first time we've had anybody out from ag in a long time. And Chris is going to meet with him on some issues, and I want to meet with him to see if he has some more suggestions of things that we could possibly do for the byway. So I'm glad to really see somebody coming up for that. We still have inquiries coming into the office for employment and businesses and business opportunities. Rural and Remote is a program that Kate Wilcox started, and anyone that wants to work at home in this program can get free training through the Dane Hansen Foundation if they're in their area. And I do not know where all I've advertised this, but we're getting a lot of requests for information for that program. So I think it's a good opportunity for people that are moving here to work at home. And especially it's great if you have children or you want to work at your leisure, so that's been good. This is the 7th year that we've participated in a Next Generation Roundup for Youth. And the summer interns are paid $12 an hour. And this year, as I mentioned, Mia Mara is ours, and that position is split with the Cheyenne County Museum. So she'll be at 2 places this year. And we did have interns from St. Francis, Bird City, Sharon Springs, and Goodland that we've had those students come in. And it's interesting that a lot of times when they come in, all they want to do is get out of town and stuff like that. And it's not just a job, it's an experience, because they get to go to the meetings throughout the state that we go to, and they realize that there are things to do in our community as well as other communities in Kansas. So one of those is actually working in Wallace County right now. So he's got a job with the county, so I'm glad to have them at least stay local.
It's $12 an hour with a cap of 32 hours a week.
Okay.
And so that we can't go over. I mean, we don't have to hit the 32 hours, and that's why we're sharing her, because the museum had a little bit of a need, but they couldn't really justify an entire intern. So.
And you guys can jump in anytime you want. Okay, so one of the things that is being planned now, there is a group in Wichita that does bus tours. And they're planning to be here in September with 50 to 60 people. They're going to be in the region mostly because of the lodging, but they do have a planned trip with Brent out to the Buffalo at the Breaks, the Motorcycle Museum. I think they're going to see the Thresher Show, and so they'll be around, and it's really good to have them come out. And they've been out twice now to kind of scout out the area because they weren't sure that they could take a bus out to the Breaks, but they've got that all figured out, and they're going to have the meal catered, so it'll be good to have that group of people. They're mostly, I think, retired, so they'll have money to spend, maybe. We'll see. We also are continuing to provide mailboxes that are personalized for the graduating seniors in the county, and so those were delivered at graduation. We're starting to get some thank you cards for those. If there's a conference or anything that goes on there, I know that one year the group of state treasurers met here, and I think Road and Bridge has done something, and we've done packets for them of local information so that they can see what there is to do. Kansas Tourism is now under the Department of Commerce, and they've asked that we add all the shopping that we have to that website, so we're kind of in the process of doing that. I think we've got the pictures taken and the basic information has been turned in, but Chris and the intern will continue to work on that project, so there's more information about what they offer that's there. And then through Sunflower Electric and the Kansas Department of Commerce, we still have the ability to put our commercial properties or develop properties on the website. So I think now we have just one on there, but the local real estate agents are all aware of that, should they want their properties posted on there. And that's kind of a search engine for anybody, anywhere that is looking for commercial properties. And we just have partners, which are through the Department of Commerce, the Kansas Sampler Foundation, the Small Business Development Center, Kansas Workforce One, who does some certification with students for work-ready certificates, so that once they graduate, or they can go to an employer and say, these are my skills level. so that, there's something to add to a resume. And Network Kansas is who sponsors the e-community, of which Cheyenne County is now an e-community. So I'm pretty excited about that, because one of the benefits that we haven't had here is the entrepreneurship program for the kids, because we've done it 1 year when we partnered with Ray, but we don't have the funding to give them money after the training for their businesses. So I think that's going to be a real plus. And you're aware that we're a member of the Northwest Kansas Planning and Development, and also PCDI. And then we basically belong to all those organizations. Tour Kansas, there's a group that goes out and represents Kansas to tour operators. And we have not attended that, but what we get is a list of all those tour operators so that we can send them information about our area. And Chris I just got that list, so Chris will be doing that. And then TIAC, or the Travel Industry Association of Kansas, is a statewide organization that sponsors part of the State Tourism Conference. And so then Highway 36, their annual meeting is at the end of the month, and I will be resigning from there. Bud Erskine is on there, and I think we might have someone from Bird City that wants to be on there, so we can fill our 3 positions on that. Obviously, the treasure hunt is coming up in September, and this year, the big promotion they did was a best pie in the county. So when the sale barn is open, and she's got pie, try her pie, because she was the winner this year. And then CREDA is the Western Kansas Rural Economic Development Alliance. It's 55 counties in Western Kansas, meet on a quarterly basis and kind of talk about economic development, what can we do to, help each other, and just a lot of good networking there. Great resource for the office, and we get to exchange a lot of ideas. They do have a website called We Have Jobs, where we can post our jobs. And then for the businesses, during the month of August, we will be promoting the area up at the Travel Information Center in Goodland. And we still have Shine-Opoly games. Unfortunately, about the time we got them, COVID hit, and so we weren't able to sell them. So they make great gifts if you guys need some, for any of you need anything. We have Shine-Opoly games for $30. You can also get them at Quincy Gallery, the Motorcycle Museum, and Majestic have those also.
And the farmer's market.
And the farmer's market. So anyway, that's our fundraiser. And I know the Motorcycle Museum raised $300 last year for us for doing that. And then we printed new brochures for Cherry Creek Encampment, and those were paid for through the generosity of St. Francis's Transit Guest Tax. We've got most of the signage up that I've requested from the state. The big one that I've been working on the longest is the signage to South Fork Wildlife Area, and the county signs are up, but the ones on the highway are not. So I'm working with new people from the highway department that hopefully will get those up. The ones for St. Francis Wildlife Area are up, but the others aren't. We would like to have again a presence at the state fair, but the state tourism director has decided not to open that up to communities and byways. So one of the things on the agenda for Northwest Kansas Travel Council is to basically write a letter and talk about our disappointment in that, because that's the only time we don't have to pay for the booth, and smaller communities certainly can't afford one at the state fair, but it's a great way for us to promote our community in the byways. So we'll see what happens with that. And we've had travel bloggers. Highway 36 hired some that spent quite a bit of time in here, and well, actually they spent a day, but they've been putting a lot of postings on Facebook, and their following is in excess of 1 million throughout the world. So that's been really good. If you've also at the back of it, you've got their business information sheet, which is where we this is what we pass out to the businesses, and then update it and just ask some questions. Part of it we don't release to the public, but if you're interested in doing a seminar or something like that, you can sure let us know, and then when we have something coming up, we can notify them. And that is part of the annual update. And then the next page is our budget. And as you know, and everybody else is telling you that, everything has gone up.
Yep.
And so the bottom line on here is $85,544.49. In the past, the county for the last 9 years has given us $32,000. St. Francis has upped theirs, I think, 3 times. So this year we received $26,816. And then next generation roundup for youth will be $3,200. The city of Bird City has given us nothing. And we're projecting sales of $300. One thing that is added this year that has not been there before are the benefits and the phone stipend. I've never had benefits, and I have used my personal phone for 10 and a half years. But I think it's time that we change a few things. So a lot of people who get reimbursed for their phone get a stipend of $50 a month, which we would like to do, and also do something about benefits, which that's figured basically at about 25%. We're checking on other places to see if we can kind of partner with somebody for benefits, because it's hard for insurance for one, but if we could have some kind of a stipend for those, it would be a great help. And part of it is at $31,000, which is what Chris is making, that's $15 an hour. We've got an intern that's making $12, and I think when 202 had an intern, I believe that one was a $20 an hour position. So $15 an hour is not very much, and I realize that, that things are tough, but would like for you to just, see what you can do to, consider upping it. The Kansas average for this position is $63,528 to $85,213. In Lincoln, the person in that position is making $61,000, but all of these are with benefits. $61,000, she's been there 8 years. Russell is a new position at $50,000. Greeley County, which is the smallest one in the state, the new person's making $55,000. Does basically similar to what this position is with tourism and economic development and whatever else needs to be done. Grant County, the guy's been there for 9 years, making $65,000. Phillips County is a new position for $55,000, and Scott County is $62,000. So the Norton Economic Development Director and his assistant, their wages combined are $102,000. Dodge City assistants are paid $50,000, and like I said, Cheyenne County's at $31,000. And then I've listed down below the averages from Salary.com and ZipRecruiter, so that you can see that we're rather low. So basically what I think this position should be is at least $50,000, which would be the goal at some point to get it there as soon as possible. But I just wanted you to know that Cheyenne County is way low, and so just to consider that. One other thing I have is we kind of talked about this before, that the county needs a brochure. The brochure we have has people floating down the Republican River, and we don't do that anymore because we don't have the water. And so when the city redid the brochure that they had, and so it was done, the artwork was done locally. We provided the pictures and everything that needed to go with that. And so the artwork and the shipping, and this was back in February, was $1,820.53, and that included everything. And I think that if the county were to do like a 4-fold, which would be 8.5 by 14, would, even with prices rising, would probably be about $2,500. This year, the city of St. Francis from the transit guest tax gave us money to do the show in Denver. And because I did some partnerships, there was a little over $500 left. And we asked what they wanted us to do with it, and they've given it to us for brochures. So if the county could do something, we could obviously help with that kind of funding. One of the ways that I think things could be funded would be through the transit guest tax. This is the ordinance and the lodging in the county, that should the county decide to do a transit guest tax, my recommendation was that you do it similar to the city, and this is the city's ordinance. There's a lot of Airbnbs, and Airbnb collects the transit guest tax, turns it over to the state keeps 1%, and then they return it to the entity. The city, it's for any lodging, it's at 3%, which is low. A lot of places are 5% for the transit guest tax and more. And it's not a tax that the residents are paying, it's the guests are paying it. So I don't know about you, but when I book a room, I don't say, and how much is your tax? But I would really like for the county to seriously consider having a transit guest tax. There's some, some public meetings are involved in it. But it would make it a more even playing field for those in St. Francis. And it would give you money, not a lot, but there would be money to maybe do a brochure. And I don't know, are you still getting that tobacco tax or the money from that? It would be maybe another source of maybe to help some of the projects that we're doing, if you could do that, or a brochure. I don't know what other sources are out there. We will certainly see what grants we can get and things like that. But, it's kind of embarrassing when we've got 20-some information centers throughout the state, as well as the 2 state-owned, and they call and they want county brochures, and we don't have any. At some point it'd be nice to have a relocation guide, but I think a start would be at least to do something so that we at least have a brochure for the county. And that's all I have, except these are the notebooks that we're passing out to the lodging establishments. It has a map and just the different brochures and things like that. Chris is going to add the shopping list to there. And then if somebody is selling their business or retiring, we have this notebook that they can have to get that information, as well as work with different partners. So do you guys have anything else?
No, I would just stress, going back to that brochure deal, that to me is a real important item, a county brochure.
I think it's from the 80s, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so to hand out anything like that, the first thing you say is, unless you're advertising your county as a step back in time, enjoy yesterday, which is not really what we're saying here. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to suggest to a new business or people working from home, you give them that brochure, they think we're still on a rotary phone. I'm just saying, and that is not the image that we want to look at. Right. The reason, Helen, and we've been bringing up the transit guest house for the county, is that way it doesn't come out of the budget. It's an additional money coming in that could just be earmarked for that brochure. Mm-hmm. And so it just would go a long way in saying, right, yeah, we'd love to have you. It really would.
I'm not saying we can't do it. We tried to do this a few years back, quite a few years back, and we caught a lot of flack from the motels.
Mm-hmm. Well, and
I don't,
well,
I'm just saying we're gonna catch flack.
Yeah, well, but in reality, this is a little different because it makes the playing field level for the motels and the inside the city boundary, VRBOs, Airbnbs, all of those things, is because you step outside the city line and you've got a little hunting lodge that you've got all fixed up. That makes it that way cheaper because they don't have the tax. This would just affect outside the city. The city already has
That's
it.
a 3%.
Yeah.
So you're
And see,
talking about
so-
outside of city
Yes,
limits.
outside
Right.
of city limits.
It's
Well,
not an additional to
everything-
the city, it's just adding it to the ones that are in the county
Yeah.
outside of city limits.
And it would
Yeah.
include Bird
Are
City.
you
Yeah.
thinking 3% or what are you?
No, I'm
suggesting?
thinking 3% because that's what the city's at. I mean, as a starter. And I think, there needs to be a lot of talking to these businesses that are gonna come in during your public hearings on this, that are gonna object. And I know that there's some that are following the state guidelines, but, this is an opt-out from the state guidelines, so it's everybody across the board. But, it would just, it's not a lot of money. If you look at the list, I mean, those are the lodging places we know about. There's probably others out there, but, if you got 3,000 a year,
It would be enough to
that's
do
money
this
that you don't
brochure
have
every
now. And maybe, and it's like you need to, the reason for the transit guest tax is to put heads on beds. So what can you do, what promotions can you do to bring people in? So maybe it would give you, a little extra money occasionally. And I'd say, brochure wise, maybe 5,000 would last 2 years. They may last a little longer, but you've got a wide distribution, and that's what we take to the show in Denver. Or it goes to Omaha, sometimes Wichita, the state fair. It will go up to the travel information centers. So there's a lot of places those brochures can go to help promote the area. And I think we need to continue this promotion to get people in to see what we have and maybe bring a business in and just increase things.
And
And
one
it's
of
not
the,
a lot of money we're talking about.
yeah, and one of the really neat things on the backside of the Big Kansas Road Trip is in reality, we had a lot of exposure from eastern Kansas that didn't know western Kansas existed or that the line was actually at Hayes, if Hayes was included in that and it wasn't at Salina. But since then, what's really cool for me, it wasn't just that weekend, because if you talk to Kate and Carl, you talk to Leslie, they have had, like the Kansas Explorers Club, they have had people that have come because they came out here, they didn't get to spend a lot of time, but they came out during that, and they continued, but they're from eastern Kansas. When's the last time you had people from eastern Kansas coming out to Cheyenne County going, we just want to see what there is? Usually they don't really care. And so that's been really cool. I think Kate and Carl said they've booked 16 additional runs from that, on the backside of the Big Kansas Road Trip, which is just, it's not huge, but it's a step in the right direction.
It's always amazing to me how many people come. There was a guy that flew here from Germany, and he did a carryover in Denver just so he could come to the motorcycle museum. And after that, we said, go out and see the brakes. What are the brakes? I said, you'll be going flat, and it's just like, whoa. And he really, really liked that. It's just kind of, I know what you're saying.
And the Motorcycle Museum in 6 years had almost 21,000 people.
Yeah, I
through
was
there. It
looking
was
last Saturday.
It was 20,888 the last
Yeah.
time I checked, and from all of the states and over 45 foreign countries. And those people are coming here, and hopefully, they'll like it.
We had a guy from somewhere in Canada that we hadn't seen in Canada, but we've got all 50 states now,
Yeah.
so it's pretty cool.
And another thing that, I went to the Heartland Byway Conference and met someone there who's involved with the National Scenic Byway Foundation. And he does tours with people from Germany and is really into beer rocks. And so we're trying to see what we can do to bring these 10 people to Cheyenne County and maybe experience some of the things we have. So those outside contacts when we go somewhere are really important, because word of mouth in reality is your best advertising, but you gotta have something to give somebody. And I think, people still come into the office wanting to know about the Stearman Fly-In. And, it hadn't been around for a long time, but they came here, they saw what there was, and they like it, and some of them move here later. I mean, it takes a while for them to get here, but anyway, hopefully making progress.
I was gonna ask you, have you heard anything about the student loan forgiveness? Are they gonna do anything for, what I don't understand is it's gotta be it can't be a student that grew up here.
Yeah, stipulation.
Right.
That's
It has to be
what-
someone who comes from a
What
rural
good is
area.
that? I mean, our youth from here has to go to another community to get their student loans and then we take a student from somewhere else. Doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense.
And I think, there.
Does not make
Yeah,
sense.
there's been a real fight to even keep that program. Right now, like a year ago, the county opted out. There's still a waiting list there. And actually, we did get an inquiry from someone who was wondering where they were on that list because they're just on wait. But I think the Bird City Century too, because it's open to foundations, that they did fund one of those, and the hospital has funded several. So it's open to other businesses and foundations should they want to do it. If the county at some point has money in their budget, it'd be great, if you could continue it. But I think when the legislature decides to talk about it, it's important to maybe, like the Board of Commissioners, to write a letter and say, can you include everybody? Because originally, there were very few counties even involved in it. And now it's like most of the counties are involved in it. And the cities, they really like it because, if people move to Rooks County, they can work in Hayes,
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things there, but yeah, it's too bad that it isn't open to people not moving from there. And then I don't know what the benefit is on the state income tax because we'll never have that information. But people moving from out of state also have a 5-year forgiveness for their state income tax, so. It's kind of like one of the other things that we worked on is the state used to have a program which retail and service businesses could use, that if they built something, they would not have to pay sales tax on their supplies, and they've taken that away. So we're hoping that they'll enact it because, if you have big industry or something coming in, the state bends over backwards. But for these little guys that keep the state going, there is nothing.
Right.
Other than we can say, well, we'll help you with your business plan and we'll help you along, we'll help you find some financing, but I can't help you. And another issue we have is like winning different kinds of contractors. The workman's comp is extremely high. And if you take somebody out of the VOTAC in Didland and they want to go into business, they've got to have a lot of upfront money for insurance and things like that. Cheyenne County doesn't require licensing, but, the counties that do require it, they want $1 million worth of liability insurance, and, that's, it all adds up. So if we want these young people to come back, there has to be some incentive for them to do that and some help for those things that you can't get a loan for.
Right. Keep them here.
Because nobody's going to loan anybody for money for insurance. You just aren't going to do it.
No.
But I think that, Cheyenne County's in a good situation with people, looking to see what's going on up here. They do see that things are happening and people are working together, and that's a plus because in a lot of counties they don't. So we just need to, not everything is great, but the outside world thinks we're great, so that's cool.
It seemed like when we had talked about this earlier, we talked about getting some kids involved in helping make a pamphlet for the local, like things, festivities. Is that still something that is thought
We
of?
could do.
Okay. So,
Do we have any money in the alcohol and tax?
Yes, I believe so.
We don't know how much though.
No, I don't at this time.
No, that's fine.
I believe there's some in
Something
there.
like that could be used, couldn't it, for
I would
brochures?
think so. Leslie researched what that could be used for one
Could
time.
we give some money for the
Veterans.
Veterans Memorial, and that come out of the alcohol
Oh, okay.
and
Okay.
tobacco
26
tax
or 2,900
that
in
the
there.
county
When that
receives.
the gal from Colby was here.
Good.
I believe so.
And that turned out really nice up
Yeah.
there.
Yes.
Yeah, that was-
I've
that's-
been-
I've seen pictures. I need to go.
And that money is really not, it is tax dollars, but it's not.
Right, right.
It's a different tax.
Mm-hmm.
Luxury.
Yes. Yeah. electric. I think we'll have it.
For certain.
So,
So we could check in on that, and there might be some money we could get
Okay.
for brochures.
I think that if we could do something like that, I mean, the 3% idea on out of county stuff or out of city stuff is a good idea. If we could do it another way without taxing more, it would be good, but I really applaud what you guys are trying to
See,
do.
one of the interesting things on that, and this is what the owners will say, okay?
Mm-hmm.
They'll come in and say, well, it's costing us, which it's not. The person that's renting the room is paying that tax.
Right.
It's not coming out of the owner's
Right.
share.
It's like a sales tax.
Yes, yeah. And
I
so,
get that. I just.
no, and I understand where you're going.
I wanna.
Because I don't want
get the
taxing.
new pamphlets,
Yeah.
like you say. I think that's a very important thing. I'm gonna have to think on that, because I don't wanna be in too many crosshairs.
Well,
Well-
and the other thing is like, they're not gonna advertise that you don't have to pay it, because that costs money.
Right.
So if you paid it, then we could promote them.
Well, we have a lot of
So.
neat things. People don't realize until they're here. I've had hundreds of conversations with people. There was a guy from Canada that was gonna try to make it to good Denver, I think Sunday night when there was a storm hit coming in. And I said, where are you gonna stay? Well, I said, well, you either have to stay here or get the buyers. So, but it's just neat to be able to tell people that, and it's better to be able to hand them a pamphlet. So I agree. I think we need to put our heads together and figure something out.
Well,
Because
and
like
I
I
have
said,
every
there's-
confidence within this county that there is enough to hold people's interest. We do a phenomenal job here. You just got to get them here.
Oh, yeah.
And then get out of the way and let the county speak for itself, because this is a phenomenal place to live.
Oh, absolutely.
But you got to get people here to see it, because they won't believe you when you tell them a lot of times. So, anyway, so, thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you. Well, I'll be around. Nice to meet you.
Roger. Chris.
Chris.
Good to see you.
Yes.
Nice.
Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday when I'm going that way.
Where did you
see ya.
come from, Chris?
I'm in Bird City.
Bird City.
Yeah, so not very far.
Okay.
I'm actually originally from Colorado, but
okay.
been here since 2020.
Oh,
Yeah. Transplant.
See ya.
see ya. Have a good day.
You too.
Keep your husband out of trouble.
He needs to learn how to say no. He said he's doing a job now, and he said it, the guy that's helped him, he said, it's been a day and we haven't had anybody come and need some work. And it's like, I thought you were gonna retire, and it's like, that's not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't see
the day
that.
he dies, he'll probably be on a roof.
Yeah. See you guys.
Gary,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you later, gentlemen.
See ya. Do you have anything else?
Do not.
Oh, it's not, it is a lot, but, $100 room's $3. All right?
Yeah, it's,
It's,
It isn't a lot, but all that stuff adds up, and it's just like,
years ago, we tried to do that. I mean, this was years ago. 25 cents. Holy cow. We thought we'd cut their heads off. You go to Denver and it's a 10% bed tax. 7, 10.
it also seems like when you get your cell phone bill, they tell you it's gonna be this much, and you get it, and it's like, what the hell? Oh, I get so steamed at that.
yeah, you make reservations and then you,
Oh, yeah.
about $50 more for all the taxes on.
Yeah, it reminds me of a joke I won't say on film, but it's a funny joke.
So not to be, are they wanting $23,000 more budgeted?
Kids.
Yeah, it's one of those deals that's kind of shared between everybody if that happens, but. Do you have anything else? All right.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Elmer, have a good day.
You the same. Keep it up if you can.
What do you think?
Keep